What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 23. We have Marvin versus Kevin Holland. Yeah, really looking forward to this card. I think it's a fantastic card. Maybe not the best card for betting, but I do like the spots that I have. I do have 5 bets. We'll talk about all of those along with some props, some leans, and yeah, should be a good card overall. So before we get started, if you guys can leave a like, subscribe if you have not yet so you do not miss out on all my other content. Really do appreciate it. One small like I always say, it does go a long way. If you do want a further in-depth breakdown on why I like which fighter, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video earlier in the week, and I also did a live stream as well. But with that said, we'll get right into it, starting with the first fight of the night, and it's Impa Saldana going against Sasha Plotnikov, and this is going to be my first bet of the night. I do have Impa to win by TKO KO, plus 600, a little sprinkle on it, 0.25 units on a prop that I do think is off in that price because, yes, Impa's never got a KO. He's had 9-10 fights, no KO. But when you watch him fight, I mean, this guy can crack. The opponents just aren't falling. I mean, we saw the Maki Patola fight. He was hitting Patola with some really hard shots, and I think the move down in weight class could potentially carry that power, and I think the knockouts might be able to start coming. And, you know, what not a better opportunity here against Sasha Plotnikov that's been knocked out in both of his losses. He was just about knocked out against Luis Kosuke in a fight that was so close to being stopped, so he very well almost could have had 3 knockout losses in only 8 fights. So I'm not sold on the chin of Plotnikov. I'm not sold on the striking defense. He kind of has like that Eddie Wineland striking defense where he fights with his hands down and definitely does not have the chin to back it up. So I like Impa here, and I will be taking that shot on the KO at plus 600. I think it's a lot better than playing the minus 300 there, honestly. So small sprinkle there. I was looking at the under 2.5 as well. Impa looked like he did not have the best weight cut. Maybe that weight cut does affect him. Maybe he does, you know, kind of slow down. Maybe he gasses out even, and maybe Plotnikov does knock him out towards the end of the fight. But yeah, both guys have never lost by decision, and their combined 3 losses, they've all 3 been by knockout. So I wouldn't be shocked if the under did hit, but I am going to go with that 0.25 unit sprinkle on the Impa by knockout. Jung versus William Knight, a fight I want nothing to do with. I do lean Jung, but this is definitely a 50-50 fight. I mean, it's going to be up to whether William Knight does get those takedowns. If he does get those takedowns, probably wins a decision. I think William Knight by decision is actually intriguing, although I'm going the other way. Plus 455, I think that's probably his best path to victory there is a decision, just grinding out Jung, taking him down. But ultimately, I'm going to say Jung does stuff the takedowns, keeps it on the feet, and knocks William Knight out. Even the Jung plus 200 for KO is not awful, but I do want nothing to do with this fight, but I will pick Jung to win the fight. Jordan Griffin against Luis Saldana. Yeah, another fight that I do think is 50-50 here. It's all going to be up to what Jordan Griffin comes in here and does. Is he going to come in here, test his striking against Saldana, or is he going to come in here and fight smart and get this fight down to the mat, use his grappling, use his BJJ brown belt? And this is going to be my second prop sprinkle of the night, and it's Jordan Griffin by submission. Plus 650, 0.25 units on it. Another prop that I think is very, very off. I mean, plus 650 just makes no sense. You go through the record of Jordan Griffin. He's winning his fights by finish. He's winning them by submission as well. I think he's won like half of his wins have came by submission. The dude hasn't won a decision since like 2015, 2014. When he's winning, he is getting finishes. And Saldana, when he's winning, he's getting finishes as well. Saldana does have a 100% finish rate. And we have seen Saldana submitted twice. We've seen him taken down pretty easily. We've seen him controlled on the mat. I think if Griffin does come in here and take him down, I think he's very live for the submission, or at least more live than the plus 650 line indicates there. So give me Jordan Griffin for the win. Give him by submission. Another thing I was looking at was the under 2.5. Like I said, Saldana 100% finish rate, and Griffin, I do think he's live for that submission there. So I think the under is a decent look, but ultimately I do have 0.25 units on Jordan Griffin by submission. All right, Jack Shore versus Hunter Azure. I like Shore to win. I just don't really like where the line's at now. Minus 170 on some books, minus 180. I would have loved to get him at minus 110. I think it will play out a little bit close early on, but as the fight goes on, I think Shore is going to wear down Azure a little bit. Azure is very good at stuffing takedowns, but he's only very good at stuffing them for like 5-6 minutes. After that, he does slow down. He is able to be taken down after that. I do see Shore getting a takedown in the second or third round and probably finishing it by submission. Shore by submission is plus 300. That's actually not bad. And I was also looking at the round 3 prop as well. So I think those are decent options. But I would have liked to got Shore at minus 110. I really would have liked that line. As of now, I'm going to pass. I do lean Shore. I am picking Shore to win. but just don't want to really put my money on this fight. I feel like it could play out a little bit closer than the line does indicate, at least early, but I do think short takes over as the fight goes on. Jordan Castro against Georges Danio, and this is a fight that is the lowest level fight on the card by a decent margin. I'm going to take the Castro. It's hard to pick a guy in Danio that hasn't fought in nearly 5 years. Give me the Castro first round knockout. Would I bet it? Never in a million years. If you want to bet this fight, probably look at that first round knockout prop, but even then it's probably not a great price. Best idea on this one is the pass, but it will take Jordan Castro to win by knockout in the first round. Ignacio Bahamondes is going against John Makdessi. Bahamondes is going to be the younger fighter, the much younger fighter here compared to John Makdessi, who is coming off a little bit of a layoff. I believe he's coming off an injury as well. And I'm going to go Bahamondes here. If you saw the weigh-ins, Bahamondes is much, much bigger, and you see it in the stats as well. I think he's like 7 inches in reach, like 6 inches in height, something crazy like that. And we saw it at the weigh-ins as well. I think he does stick to the outside and outpoints Makdessi in a really close-ish decision. Do I want to lay the minus 190 on a Contender Series guy that's not really proven, only 23 years old? Not really, but I will pick him to win, but definitely not betting this fight. Mateusz Gamrot going against Scott Holtzman. I like Gamrot. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter by a decent margin, the younger fighter. A play I was really looking at, I did not pull the trigger on, but Gamrot by decision plus 105, I really don't hate that. Was very tempted on it. I like it more than the minus 230 he is sitting at. I feel like this could play out somewhat close. Gamrot not a finisher at all, about a 50% finish rate. Scott Holtzman only been finished once, and that was in his last fight against Beneil Dariush. And like I said, Gamrot's not really a finisher, so I do think this goes to decision. I do think it's a little bit closer than the line indicates, but I do think Gamrot can mix in those takedowns, outstrike Holtzman. I do think, like I said, he's the better all-around fighter, and I really do like his skill set, and I think he has some decent upside as well. I don't know, he looked decent in his UFC debut, a little bit underperformed in my opinion, but I honestly thought he won the fight, so he's going to be looking to bounce back and get a win here. So I'm going to pick him to win by decision. Was tempted on the decision prop, just did not pull the trigger on it. Joe Solecki versus Jim Miller. I like Joe Solecki here. I like him quite a bit. He's going to be the first leg to my parlay. It's just you got to worry about round one, Jim Miller. After round one, Jim Miller goes away. Solecki should have his way with Jim Miller, be able to take him down. Jim Miller, 46% takedown defense. Jim Miller getting up there in age, like 37 years old. Jim Miller has no gas tank. But that first round, yes, it's going to be somewhat sketchy. I mean, I'd be really shocked if Miller was able to submit a really, really, really high-level grappler in Solecki. Like, Solecki's grappling is a legit black belt. So I think Miller, for him to win, it'd have to be some type of first-round knockout. And could it happen? Maybe. Jim Miller does have some power. Solecki's chin may be somewhat questionable. He's been knocked out before. But his striking is coming along. He's 27 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Solecki come out here and we see the best Solecki we've ever seen. I mean, this guy is making massive improvements fight after fight. And I think this is a very winnable matchup for him if he does come in here with the right game plan of mixing in those takedowns, using that grappling. You don't really want to stand and strike with Jim Miller if you're Joe Solecki. I do think you want to take him down to stay safe on top. And as the fight goes on, I think it'll be safer and safer because Jim Miller does tend to slow down. And Solecki, I think his gas tank's fine. I do think Solecki wins a decision or even gets a late finish, but I do have Solecki in that parlay there. Dan Rodriguez against Mike Perry. This is a fight I'm going to sit back and watch and enjoy because it should be fun. A lot of people are on Mike Perry. I feel like I'm like the only person that does not have a bet on Mike Perry. I don't know. Mike Perry, I was kind of interested to see the weigh-ins, everything checked out. Everything, all the narratives for Mike Perry, the baby, the camp change, how great he's looking, all signs are pointing towards we should see a good Mike Perry. The problem with that is we haven't seen a good Mike Perry in a long time. Against Mickey Gall, the guy was getting, touched up by Mickey Gall. Against Tim Means, he got outlanded 2-1. Got knocked out by Neal. We haven't really seen a good Mike Perry since like the Vicente Luque fight, which was a couple fights ago. So I don't know. I think Mike Perry could show up, could look really good. But even then, I think for Perry to win, he's probably going to have to knock out D-Rod, and D-Rod's never been knocked out. Could it happen? Maybe. We've seen D-Rod really hurt before, but D-Rod's a tough guy. So I'm gonna take D-Rod still. I don't love it, but he does throw a ton of volume. Mike Perry is extremely hittable. I'm going to say D-Rod lands a ton of volume here, outpoints Mike Perry to a decision. If I was to bet this fight, I don't know. I kind of look at the Mike Perry by knockout, plus 345. That's not a bad line. As far as the D-Rod, minus 130, I don't know. I feel like it's correctly lined. I feel like it could even be a little bit closer here, but I'm going to pick D-Rod to just piece up Mike Perry for 15 minutes here. So not overly confident in that, but it's hard to trust Mike Perry. Very hard to trust Mike Perry. I want to see it before I start laying money on him. I want to see him look good. I want to see this camp change. because he really has not looked good in the past couple fights. So going to take the route here, just not really confident in it. But something I am really confident in is going to be Nina Ansaroff here. Minus 135, and I do have a bet on Nina Ansaroff. I got her at minus 110, and I have 1.1 units on it. Honestly, I'd bet her at minus 135. I'd bet her at minus 150. Probably better at minus 170. I'm just very confident in this fight and this matchup for her. I know there's some concerns with the layoff and the pregnancy, but you see her on the weigh-ins. She's looking in fantastic shape. You know, she's been training, and it's just stylistically a really bad matchup for Mackenzie Dern. I know Mackenzie Dern always finds ways to get this fight to the mat, whether it is her opponent's making very big mistakes like Marco's jumping into the guard of Dern, or whether it's Cypher's not standing up and going into the guard of Dern. But I think that Ansaroff has to know, I mean, don't go into the guard of Dern. You probably win this fight. We all know the stats. I mean, Dern has a 5% takedown accuracy. Ansaroff has a very, very, very good takedown defense. So I do think this fight's going to play out on the feet for all 15 minutes. And if you tell me that it's going to be on the feet for 50 minutes, you got to favor Nina Ansaroff. And I know Mackenzie Dern's striking looked a little bit improved. It looked decent against Joanna Jandiroba. We got to remember Jandiroba's a grappler. She's not a striker at all. I mean, she had barely struck in her fights prior to that. I mean, most of her fights were like all, on the mat. So, and it was a close fight. It was a very close fight. A lot of people actually thought that Jandiroba won that fight. I personally scored it for Dern just because Jandiroba pulled guard in the last 30 seconds to kind of ruin the fight there. But I don't know. I feel like some exchanges could be close just with the style of Dern, but I'm going to take the much better striker and the much more technical striker in Ansaroff just to piece apart Mackenzie Dern for 15 minutes here. So fairly confident in that. Honestly, Ansaroff is probably my third most confident pick on the slate or on the card, and she's minus 135. But yeah, I'd be kind of surprised I'd be shocked if Dern got this fight to the mat, and I would be surprised if Dern was able to outstrike her for 15 minutes. So how does Dern win this fight? Maybe Ansaroff slips on the mat. I don't know. Maybe Dern pulls guard and Ansaroff has some bad fight IQ and she goes into Dern's guard. Maybe that happens. But outside of all of that, I do think that Ansaroff probably should win this fight the majority of the time. Julian Marquez going against Sam Alvey. Yeah, kind of a crapshoot here. I'm going to take Marquez to win. We all know what's going to happen. Alvey's going to be backing up against the cage, throwing not much volume at all. Marquez is going to be pressing forward, throwing just a little bit more volume. I think Marquez wins a pretty close decision. The thing is, he's never won a decision before. He's 100% finish rate. Maybe he does knock out Alvey. Alvey is a very tough guy. He has been knocked out 3 times before, but in a ton of fights. I think if I was to bet this fight, it actually would be a prop. I think that's pretty off here. It's Sam Alvey by KO plus 635. Because if Alvey wins, I don't see it being a decision. He's so low volume. He's backing up. Does not look good for the judges. I think if he wins, it's got to be a knockout, honestly. And Marquez, no, he has not been knocked out, but we have seen him hurt before. So if I was to play anything on this fight, it would be the knockout, but I think the best move is going to be pass here. And we got the co-main event, which is going to be a very fun, competitive fight. 2 great prospects. Sodiq Yusuff going against Arnold Allen. A fight I just want to sit back and watch from a fan standpoint. I'm going to take Yusuff slightly. I'm going to favor the output, tons of output. I'm going to favor the power, lots of power. I just don't like how he slows down. Don't really like the durability. So for that reason, I'm not going to bet it. But I feel like it could play out close. And I'm going to take Yusuff to win those first 2 rounds. Maybe Allen takes over in that 3rd round. But by then, I do think it's going to be a little bit too late. I'm going to take Yusuff to win a kind of a really close decision there. And then we have Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. This is going to close out my night. And this is going to make my night, make or break my night. And I have a lot invested into Marvin Vettori. And I don't have many bets this card, as you guys can tell. Kind of seems like a trap card. A lot of these fights are really close. A lot of these fights I really don't want to bet on. And I'm really high on Marvin Vettori and in the spot in general. So I have a straight bet on Marvin Vettori, minus 188, 2 units on it. Got it near the opener there. And then I added him into a parlay with Joe Selecki, minus 117, have 1 unit on it there. So 3 total units invested into Marvin Vettori. And it's safe to say if Marvin Vettori wins, I win. I have a winning night more than likely. So I like Vettori. We can get into the stats and all that. I mean, Kevin Holland, 51% takedown defense, kind of got exposed against Derek Brunson. But you go back and watch his fights prior to the Derek Brunson fight, and you see it in the tape. I mean, Marvin Vettori has to know he needs to come out here and get takedowns. And even if he doesn't, even if he wants to strike with Kevin Holland, I don't think he's going to get knocked out or anything. Holland only has 3 knockdowns in the UFC, knocking out guys like Fluffy Hernandez, congrats, 40-year-old Jacare Souza, and who else did he knock out? Who else did he? It's going to kill me. He knocked out somebody else. Was it that Charlie Ontiveros guy? No, that was a verbal submission. He knocked out... Who did he knock out? This is going to kill me. Kevin Holland knocked out. Anyway, I'll look it up, but yeah. Anyway, Kevin Holland, I kind of think his power is just slightly overrated because, yeah, going through his record, he is knocking out guys like Jacare Souza, Anthony Hernandez, and the other one was, yeah, Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley in a fight that Buckley came in on short notice, and Buckley is somebody that's, kind of on the chinny side. He's been knocked out like 3 or 4 times now in his career. So, Marvin Vettori, he's never been dropped. He's never been rocked. He's never been knocked down. He's never been hurt. Crazy chin on him. Both guys have good chins, but I do think that it's going to be really tough for Kevin Holland to get a knockout here, and I do think that's how Kevin Holland's going to win. It's going to be a knockout. So give me Marvin Vettori to mix in the takedowns on the feet. It's going to be close. I wouldn't recommend Marvin Vettori comes out here and stands with Kevin Holland for long periods of time. I expect him to go for takedowns. I think the sub is honestly kind of live. Brendan Allen was able to submit Holland. Holland has been submitted twice before. But ultimately, I do like Vettori. I like him straight, minus 188, 2 units, and then also in a parlay. And I'm really banking on Vettori to get it done this Saturday. So, final bets: Marvin Vettori minus 188, 2 units. Nina Antarov minus 110, 1.1 units. Vettori Selecki parlay minus 117, 1 unit. Griffin wins by submission plus 650, 0.25 units. Kasagane wins by TKO KO plus 600, 0.25 units. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Good luck, and let's make some money on UFC Vegas 23. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers if I do post any more bets, but more than likely this will be it, and this is going to be my lightest card of the year, which is completely fine. Not the best betting card in the world, but I do like the spots I have, so let's go Marvin Vettori, and good luck on Saturday.